Hello, everybody. Welcome to the For Busy Moms Fitness, Nutrition, Mindset, and Accountability community. For those of you who are new here, whether you've stumbled upon our community via our YouTube channel or the Empower Her Wellness podcast, or maybe you're joining us on February 20th for an in person hormone and strength training workshop with Dr. Elena Walla, however, you stumbled upon our community, I'm excited to have you here. If you do not know who I am, or you've only seen the pictures of me, I'm Morgan Ekovich. I'm the owner of Get Fit With Me. I run this community. And yes, this group says for busy moms, but if you are a busy woman or a busy individual, this place is for you. We're not just about showing up to learn, we're about showing up to learn, implement, and take action on what we are learning. So, with that, I'm going to kind of go through here today just briefly on what some things you can expect in this group, some of our updates, and then we're going to get into today's topic of self care and the importance of it. So, as we get started here, in case you missed it, we have been doing a 30-day step challenge. Challengers just completed their second week of check ins, and we have our leaderboard. And on that leaderboard, let me find those winners for you so you can hear the top three today that we have. And when we do this, our top three people for week two is going to be Kristen Milat at 160,635 steps, Elena Spalding at 158,138 steps, and Amber Ramirez at 144,923 steps. So we've got still 4 more weeks, little over that right now of the step challenge. So remember the top three placings get a buyout. It was a buy-in. If you missed it and you're thinking, darn it, I want to do another one, don't worry. I will be doing another one at some point. There is not a date, but if you have any interest in joining our next step challenge, just drop step challenge in the comments below and I will add you to the wait list for when we do it again. Second thing, that free hormone and strength training in-person workshop that we are running. Dr. Elena Owala and myself are running that on February 20th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the downtown Capital Area District Library. So we're going to be talking all about strength training, why it's important, what our hormones do, and why strength training is important for balancing our hormones. So super important that if you are a woman and you are going through any life changes and you're not sure what's going on strength training or you're not sure what's going on with your hormones, come ask questions, learn. You get a lot of one-on-one help to kind of get some support in there as well. Last couple things is this group, like I mentioned, is not just here so that you can consume and learn. I think that's great. Keep showing up that way, but it's also meant for you to share your wins and take action and call your shot. So if there is anything that you would like to be held accountable for, or you're just saying, I'm focusing on this month, whatever it is, call your shot, either post it or drop it in the comments below. And then finally, in this community, something you can expect every single month is on the first Thursday, noon Eastern Standard Time. Aside from this month, I go live here in the Facebook group to give a training, teach on a workshop, to give some sort of overview on a topic with implementation. So that one, like I said, you're not just learning, but you also have the tools to implement. That being said, February is a weird month. I'm headed off to Cancun here in a day or two, somewhere in there. So that being said, we've moved this up, weird day, weird time, all the things. These recordings are stored in the guides section. If you go to guides and you go to 2025, you will see those in there. So as we move into today's topic of self-care, I feel like this is a topic that I'm seeing everywhere because it's February, all about loving yourself, taking care of yourself. I just recorded an episode for February on the importance of dating yourself. So things that are coming up is February is just that topic where everybody's talking about it. So I kind of wanted to jump on that bandwagon and give my own perspective on it. Remember, self care isn't selfish. It's necessary for our overall well being and impacts every single aspect of our life. So imagine you are making dinner and the fan is going and you've had little sleep and somebody's calling your name and the TV is going and all these things are happening at once. And you are so overstimulated that you snap or you bark at somebody or all of a sudden you have a breakdown and you start crying. It happens. That overwhelm, that overstimulation happens. But what helps that to not be so drastic and so over the top, which I know we've all been there, is making sure we set time aside for some self-care. And self-care is an activity that we do deliberately to take care of our mental, emotional, and physical health. So it can look like taking a bubble bath. It can look like going away for a weekend, but it doesn't have to. It can look a multitude of ways. I'm going to give you ways that it can look like 5, 10, 15 daily, weekly, monthly, different actions. Then I'm going to challenge you to kind of take one of them on by the end. So, one of the things that most likely each of you listening or watching can be said that I know you can feel the same way is that like self care isn't as important to us. I have other things I should be doing. And we don't make it a priority. And you're right. We don't make it a priority, but it needs to be a priority. The other thing that I find people do is, oh, it's not for us. We don't need it. I've got to take care of other people. We can take care of other people better when we take care of ourselves. And the final thing is, it has to be realistic for our life, for your season that you are in, the stage of life you are in. If you are somebody with twin newborns, self care is going to look a lot differently than the mom in this group who's got an 18-year-old that she's sending off to college. It's going to look different than the 60-year-old that's in this group who's just learning to get back into strength training again. Self care looks different at every single stage and season of our life. So do not put yourself in a box or feel like, oh, those are only the self care tactics and tips that I like, those don't fit my life. I can't do anything. No, you got to be able to find the ones that work for you, the ones that make you feel really good. And it's going to take some trial and error. But I'm going to give you kind of a starting list. I've gone through these before. And if you're like, Morgan, none of those work, where else do I turn? Send me a message. I'll give you more specific ones. I'll ask you more specific questions so I can get you a more specific answer. So we cannot neglect self-care no matter what it looks like. No matter what stage of life you are in, you need to not neglect self-care. So, as we move through here, I want you to remember that just because something is common does not mean it needs to be normal. Just because it's common for all of us to feel guilty about not setting a time, setting side aside for self-care doesn't mean it has to be normal. Just because something's common, such as I don't believe in self care, doesn't mean it has to be normal. Just because somebody does self care as taking bubble baths does not mean that has to be the normal and the only way. So we first have to start by acknowledging that our needs are valid, that we are important, and that what we need in that time, in that moment, is valid. And it's going to make us a better person in that moment and moving forward for the rest of the day and days. First thing we need to do is when we do not feel like our feelings are valid, we need to start with ourselves and start practicing positive self-talk. So instead of saying, I'm being selfish for taking time for self-care, for sitting aside to read, for giving myself some downtime, because that's self-care. But instead of saying, I'm being selfish, try saying, I'm taking care of myself so I can better take care of others. Or I'm taking some time for me so I can better show up and control my emotions for those around me. Because you have to remember, you're in control of your body. And when we start to snap and be angry and frustrated and have mental breakdowns, emotional breakdowns, our body starts to hurt. All of these ways of our brain and our body telling us something is wrong means we've not taken enough time for ourselves and we are feeling like we are spiraling because we are not in control. By having time for self care and taking that time, you're giving yourself back control of your emotions, back control of your mental state, back control of how you respond to something that pisses you off. Instead of coming right out the gate, it gives you the control to take a deep breath and respond in the way that you want to respond and not just reacting. So it's not just making you feel good in that moment. It's all these other things that it does for us. And this, like I mentioned, it can mean a daily, a weekly, a monthly. It can mean 5 minutes. It can mean an hour. It can mean a whole weekend. It looks different for all of us. And it's going to look different just because you got it dialed in right now and you're like, yeah, I got my self care. Life's going to throw a curveball. The stage of life you're in or the season you're in is going to change and it's not going to work anymore. And you're going to have to reassess and come up with some different options. So it's forever evolving and changing, just like our fitness routines, just like our nutrition. There's the basics. Are we doing the basics? Great. Well, as our body changes, we may notice we need more protein, or we may need more fruits and vegetables. We may need more or less of something, but our basics are there. Same thing goes with that self care. Same thing goes with our strength and conditioning. So, some quick and effective self care practices. First one I have for you is morning ritual or morning routine. Everybody's kind of got a different feel on that. But 5 minutes of meditation, journal, reading, sitting in silence, maybe. Maybe you know you won't get silence any other time of the day. Pick 5 minutes in that morning routine and ritual to do something for you that does ideally not involve your phone or checking your laptop. That would be the one goal. Choose something outside of that, something that actually is good for you. Option number two, midday break. Take a 10-minute walk, stretch, call a girlfriend. Maybe you're going to go use that walking pad, or maybe you're going to go get on that piece of equipment you have sitting in your basement. Take that midday break, step aside, get outside, just 10 minutes. That's self care. You're going to be better for your employer. You're going to be better for your family by taking that 10-minute midday break. It's going to reset your mind, it's going to reset your body. Evening wind down. This can look like 15 minutes of reading or taking a relaxing bath. Maybe this means you ask your spouse to watch the kids and you can actually shower in silence or shower on your own. Maybe this looks like you're going to try to go to bed 5 to 15 minutes earlier because you know your sleep has been suffering. You focusing on your sleep is self care. You making sure you're getting adequate amount of sleep is self care. Those are things you can do throughout the day. Some of my other favorites is anytime I'm in the car, that's when I call a girlfriend. That's when I call a family member. Because when I'm at home and I'm working, I'm fully immersed in it. But when I'm in the car, it's like my freedom to call somebody and to talk to somebody. And yes, I know I can do it at home, but it just makes the road experience much, much more fun, in my opinion. The other thing you can do is if you enjoy cooking, or maybe you don't enjoy cooking, pair it with something that you do enjoy to kind of give yourself a little bit of self-care time. So for me, I put my AirPods in and I either listen to some music that I really like, or I put on a show that I kind of a guilty pleasure, or I listen to an audiobook. Doing something for me with a task that I maybe don't want to do that day is a good way. If I cannot find just 5 minutes to step aside for myself, I can pair a little bit of self care with something that needs to be done. So that is a really good way to kind of make sure that you're getting it in, even if you're not able to set aside that time completely. Ways you can do this on a weekly basis. So schedule 1 hour hobby time. So maybe once a week, you're going to schedule time to color, paint, exercise, call a friend, go for a walk at the mall. A lot of my clients right now are mall walkers. I love it. Lots of steps, get outside, get out of the house, but without having to get cold. Maybe you're going to go get coffee. Like, think of things that you can do on a weekly basis. Talk and walk dates. I love those. Walk around the block, do 30 minutes. Yeah, maybe something you do on a regular basis, but you don't have the bandwidth to talk to somebody the entire time. Once a week, call somebody to keep those friendships going because they know they fill you up. That is self care. Monthly basis, plan a day trip or a spa day. Those are kind of extravagant, but maybe once a month you go try a new class. Maybe you're going to try a yoga class this month. Maybe you're going to try a pound class. Maybe you're going to try a hot yoga class. Maybe you're going to go learn how to cook Italian. Maybe you're going to go do a wine tasting class. Classes like that are really good to do on a monthly basis. You can do them on your own, you can do them with girlfriends. This may even just look like you're going to take yourself out to a restaurant you love. We're going to talk about in a Empower Her Wellness podcast episode here in the upcoming weeks. Or this maybe is just like, oh, this new store opened up. I'm going to go check it out and walk around by yourself. Horrocks and Lansing is a great place to go do that. There's so much stuff. You could entertain yourself for hours just walking through Horrocks. So think about those as that right there is a really good way planning a day. And here's the key though, is I can tell you all this and I can give you all these ideas, but you need to plan it. So if it's going to be a daily thing, whether it's in that morning routine, that mid break, or that evening, I need you to plan it because when you plan something and it goes on the calendar, it's in your control and you will follow through with it. Same with that weekly, same with that monthly. Put it on the calendar, make it a reoccurring. So it's something that you will actually do and you're going to feel good about it rather than, oh crap, the month just went by. I didn't do that again. Oh, didn't do that again. Choose, so you can do this one of two ways. I'm going to give you action steps in a second. How I always recommend though is to choose one self-care practice from the list above that I just shared, that we just talked about. If you didn't hear it correctly, go back and rewind and drop it on the comments to call your shot. Let me know what you're going to do. Let me know how you're going to focus on self-care this month, whether it's a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. Remember, it needs to be something that fits for your current stage and season of life. But if you know fitting something in on a daily basis is way too overwhelming, do not pick that. Pick a weekly or pick a monthly. And then ebb and flow how you need to. You can always add more. But if we over promise to ourselves and we are not able to follow through, we just feel like we're letting ourselves down. When we start by adding little bits and pieces of self care throughout your day, week, or even month, you are going to start to notice that your relationships will improve, that we are less stressed, that you are more fulfilled, that you're more patient, present, and positive in your interactions with your friends, your family, your coworkers, honestly, anybody you come in contact with. If you are noticing that you are snapping and you are not the type of person you are, there's a lot of factors that could come in, but a lot of it is you feel out of control, you feel like you have no say, and you don't feel like yourself. Adding these little bits and pieces in here of self-care is going to help bring those back, help you start feeling like you again, which in turn is gonna not make you snap or not so aggressively. It takes practice. So let's talk action steps here. We're getting close to the end, but action steps is really, I can tell you all the things, but I really want you to implement. So, number one, if you've never implemented self care, I highly recommend starting with that first tip I gave of just pick one. Are you going to do monthly, weekly, or daily? And pick what it is. Write it down, schedule it. If you are somebody who is like, Morgan, I'm doing that, I'm ready for the next step, then you're going to choose one daily and one weekly self care activity to implement. Drop them in the comments. Let me know what it is. Call your shot. I want you, no matter what category you fall into, whether you're picking a monthly, a weekly, or a daily, or you're choosing a daily and a weekly, I don't care which category you are. The next step for both of you is to identify one boundary you need to set to make this happen. So, could that look like asking your spouse to watch the kids during this amount of time on a daily basis or a weekly basis? Or maybe this means communicating your needs of, I need a girls' night once a month. It's going to happen here, and this is what it's going to look like. And I need us to figure out a way to make it work. So identify one boundary you need to set. Maybe that's you just need the kids to sit in front of a screen for 30 minutes so that you can shower. And who knows? Everybody is different. And what self care looks like to you looks a little bit different to me, and it looks a little bit different to the next person. Number three, we need to practice positive self talk when we engage in self care. Remember, self care is necessary, it's not a luxury, it's not something just some people get to do. It's something that we all need to do, and we all need to be doing it more frequently than what we are. Number four, in the comments below of this video, or you can go to the main feed in this community, and I want you to post your one daily and one weekly commitment that you are going to start doing for yourself. What is your self care activity? If you're in that category one where you're choosing a monthly, a weekly, or a daily, I want you to post that as well. Let me know what that is because I will hold you accountable. I'll reach out, I'll ask questions. I'll say, hey, how's that going? That's not working. Okay. Can we find something that does work for you? So we will do that. I'm here to not just talk at you. I want to support you and interact with you. Remember, you are important, and taking time for you allows you to be the best version of yourself. You got it. It's hard. But anything that's easy, everyone would be doing. Only the hard stuff are the things that we really should be doing because it pushes us to the next level. So, some last minute reminders here, and I want to make sure I get them all. First one, I'm going to drop a link in the comments to sign up for our free in-person strength training and hormone workshop with Dr. Elena Awala. That is February 20th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the downtown Lansing Capital Area District Library. Um, there's going to be some freebies and bonuses if you show up, if you register and show up. We want to get a head count so we've got enough stuff for people. Um, Second thing, we have the Empower Her Wellness podcast. That is a new episode released every Thursday now that we're in 2025. We've got some fun episodes this month. We've got a few guests, we've got a few solo episodes. Come learn anything fitness, nutrition, mindset, accountability, all things whole health to make you feel more empowered and confident. It's going to help you move that needle forward in your health. Third thing, for those of you in the challenge, keep stepping. You are doing great. Remember, there's still plenty of time to move up or down that ladder. So it's all about just being intentional, making an extra step. Maybe I'm going to take an extra lap around the house. I'm going to go out and get the mail instead of asking somebody else. Small intentional steps lead to big actions and results. And finally, if you have any questions at all or anything that you want to kind of talk about, I do free consultations. We can have a talk, we can figure out how I can help you, or you can just pick my brain for 30 minutes. And we don't have to work together. Take advantage of those. You can either send me a direct message in Facebook, you can send me an email, drop that email below, or you can drop your questions below if you think there's something that the entire group would see benefit from. So until next time, I will see you all in March. And until then, check out the Empower Her Wellness podcast. Talk to you then.